Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, titled Psychometric Assessments for Hiring, How to Fail-Proof Your Recruiting Decisions with Meaningful Data. I'm Eglė Joneliūnaitė, a marketing manager here at Safebridge, and I'll be your moderator today. Today with me, I have my colleague, Evi. Evi, she's from the SafeMetrix team. Hi, Evi.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Great, thank you. Could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, I want first to thank everyone for taking the time out and being here today. So, as Eglė said, I'm Evi. I'm working as a psychologist in Safebridge. I'm currently coordinating the research and development initiatives related to the SafeMetrix product line of Safebridge. I have spent the last years familiarizing and applying different methodologies, including qualitative, quantitative, and mixed methods. Today, we will be answering basically the following questions. We will be seeing the human error in maritime incidents and what is the role of skills, why psychometric assessments are important, how they can be used, and what is the process of an assessment. So, as humans, we all have certain capabilities and limitations. So in such era of technological evolution, human beings and machines are great competition. It's important to acknowledge both our strengths and our weaknesses in order to make the most out of our potential. So for example, people are great at pattern discrimination and recognition. We have the ability to adapt, and we also have consciousness. On the other hand, we're limited in our memory capacity. We're limited in calculating numbers as quickly and accurately as machines can do. And most importantly, our performance can be easily and largely influenced by many external factors. So within this context, the risk of accident, and most precisely the place of the human factor in the risk of accident, are central issues. According to various studies, the human factor indeed seems to be the main cause of incidents at sea. So in agreement with this theoretical framework, this webinar offers a review of the role of assessments in the maritime industry. So what are assessments? Psychological assessment is a process of evaluation that uses a combination of tools for making hypotheses or predictions about a person and their knowledge, their skills, their behavior, or their personality. So the most common psychometric tests used for business-related purposes are aptitude tests, there are tests of attention, soft skill assessments, speed and accuracy tests, situational judgment tests, and personality questionnaires. So these are often described as norm reference tests. That simply means that the tests have been standardized so that test takers are evaluated in a similar way. Norm reference test reports report how well the test taker performed in relation to a statistically selected group of people with the same job description, for example. So a norm reference test of a desk officer may rank that seafarer's performance compared to other seafarers of a similar job description. So the human error incidents occurring on ships are generally caused by technology, by the environment, or organizational procedures that basically that might cause a person to make error caused by incorrect decision, improperly performed action or lack of action, or a chain of errors. The increased use of psychometric assessment is mainly due to meta-analytic findings, suggesting that various skills have considerable validity and utility for prediction of behavior across a variety of contexts. So assessment's use lies in the recruitment process, especially when recruiting cadets and junior officers, and as part of the promotion process, or to measure capabilities or to ensure performance effectiveness. So now, understandably, seagoing personnel requires a unique maritime-specific set of skills and capabilities. So there are several companies in the maritime industry that believe that these assessments during the pre-recruitment stage would allow them to consider or reconsider their decisions on whether to employ or re-employ a candidate. So assessing cognitive skills have found to be very important in the maritime industry, where the increasing complexity of the environment requires a much greater level of situation awareness than before. Cognition involves the way seafarers learn, understand, and perceive the onboard environment around them. Too many vessels are grounding, they're colliding, or coming into close quarters with each other simply because the crew were enabled to register and act up all important aspects of the environment. Seafarers who possess high cognitive skills, such as spatial orientation, for example, seem more aware of the environment around them and seem to know their geographical location of other vessels, as well as potential threats that may compromise the vessel's safety. On the other hand, a seafarer who might possess a below average skill in memorization, for example, might have difficulty accurately retrieving information from the past that can help him deal with current situation, or may forget assignments or how to apply procedures. So while cognitive skills have been on the forefront for many years in the maritime industry, attention is now given to a different set of skills, soft skills, that shows promising results. The importance of soft skills becomes particularly visible in accident investigations. As mentioned before, several studies indicated that human error is among the most common reasons leading to accidents in the maritime industry. It was found to be the main reason for collision, for fires and other types of accidents that causes losses of cargoes or even human life. So it is well known by now that having technical knowledge does not guarantee that a seafarer has the competencies to be successful in the work environment, nor that is fully equipped with the skills necessary for that job. So current literature suggests that there is significant evidence demonstrating that a combination of practical skills plus a broader set of soft and cognitive skills and competencies can help the seafarers better meet the needs of the job. So, dealing with people from different backgrounds, resolve conflicts, work in situations and make ethical decisions, display integrity and honesty, and demonstrate the ability to work in teams are all vital competencies that promote work-related success in seafarers and enables them to deal effectively with the difficult conditions involved on board. The role of assessments in the maritime industry is vital because individuals who are unable to employ effective coping skills to regulate physiological and psychological states affected by pressure may underperform relative to their actual skill level. A known requirement in producing excellence is the ability of an individual to execute vital self-regulatory processes under pressure. Also, interpersonal skills have found to correlate with good working relationships and a more balanced life at sea. Consequently, seafarers who have social support are far more likely to experience emotional stability and thus be more focused and functional in completing their tasks. Also, a seafarer who is feeling stressed out and has low-level skill in self-control may become easily frustrated or angry. So this can have a negative effect on his communication skills, which involves being able to share ideas, express feelings, and work out differences with others, which are all essential elements of the ability to relate and work with other people. So in such an environment where pressure is inevitable, Such behavior can have serious negative effects on both the seafarer and other crew members. So predicting such potential problems is crucial in highly hazardous environment. By assessing seafarers' soft skills beforehand and train them or improve them in areas of weakness, provide companies with the possibility of placing the right person to the right job and prevent various problems from arising. It's crucial to mention here that the general consensus of assessments are to be used as an added value tool and not as a standalone approach to understand behavior and performance. Assessments are beneficial in potentially identifying someone likely to either directly cause or be a contributing factor towards a possible on-board situation or a marine incident. So we could possibly lessen human factor errors on board, along with reducing costs and expenses. So now I'm going to present the general usual process of an assessment that basically includes six steps. However, this is not a fixed step-by-step procedure, since some steps might move back and forth depending on the needs and procedures of each company. So the first step is determining the need for assessment. Basically, the assessment process begins from the time the company decides that a specific group of people or a specific person should be assessed for a specific reason. So, for example, an assessment starts from the time a company wants to hire seafarers or make promotions and begins to consider the possible candidates or the specific skill requirements they want the person they are promoting or hiring to acquire. It's important to clearly define the objective of the assessment and the goal of how the results will be used. So barriers maybe like language or culture should be taken into consideration when selecting the test. The company may also revise all relevant demographic information from candidates, such as their age, their marital status, their previous experience, etc., to see how who might fit best or who to exclude from the assessment process based on specific requirements. For example, a company might want for the position of an engine officer to have a person that is above 40 and who speaks native English. So it's also very important to identify who will perform the assessment and how the results will be delivered and shared. Usually the assessor will be a partner of a company along with a psychologist or an external partner. So after the goals have been established and candidates have been selected, the appropriate test will be administered. A psychological test can be described as a system of behavior and performance observation that relies on numerical data or categorical scale to establish changes and differences. Testing measures the level of skill or knowledge that exists or has been reached. A psychological test can also be used as a way of measuring differences between people or differences in the same person over time. So here you can see an actual report of we're using SafeMetrix. Of course, any personal information have been removed for confidential purposes. This is a report for soft skills of management level tech officers. So you can see here the level of skills that this specific seafarer possess. So here, this is a cognitive assessment of a managerial level tech officer. As you can see, this psychometric assessment constitutes a performance test. Is based on the speed and accuracy of the responses of the test taker for each of the skills being assessed. Assessments are usually cost efficient, they're standardized and objective, and offer a fair, equal opportunity to all test takers. So the third step is making sense of the results. So since most tests are online tests and they're not paper-based, they are scored and presented as standardized scores or percentiles. Assessors seek to take the information gathered from psychological tests and weave it into a comprehensive but complete picture of the person being tested. Recommendations should be based on all of the assessment results. Psychological assessment is never focused on a single test score or number. So every person has a range of competencies that can be evaluated through several methods. Those results should not be the only criteria when it comes to selection, to promotion, or retention of any employee. The assessor is here to evaluate the competencies as well as the limitations of the person and report on them in an objective but helpful manner. So the goal of the assessment is to make improvements or predictions as opposed to simply being judged. So here we can see an actual SafeMetrix integrated report. At SafeMetrix, integrated reports are prepared after a careful and detailed review of both soft and cognitive assessment results. Potential weaknesses and possible drawbacks are identified, along with recommendations and suggestions. So an integrated report is usually 8 to 12 pages long and comes in digital format. If any of you would like to learn more about the reports, please leave us a message and we will contact you to schedule a live demonstration with our SafeMetrix team to answer any questions and walk you through at no cost. So it's important to understand that it's inevitable that some errors occur with each measurement. It is well established that multiple sources, including nervousness or attitude or culture, can affect the objectivity of the assessments. So other personal factors may also affect the performance of a candidate. For example, family issues or life-changing situations. So there is a need for test results often to be rechecked by questions regarding how the person attacked and answered the test items. Additionally, in general, the more complex the variable under investigation is, the less adequate is a single test to come up with the representative answers. So multiple measurements are a more stable and reliable estimator of a skill than any single measurement. Thus, some additional interview questions are necessary to acknowledge any undermining factors that might influence one's performance. This is an example of our interview guidelines. They are based on an extensive job analysis. So we used robust methodology to analyze the specific job requirements for the various ranks on board. Considering that there are like more than 50,000 professional skill sets in the world, we conducted this analysis basically to identify the most important ones for seafarers. The SafeMetrix competency-based interview guidelines can assist interviewers in conducting interviews in a structured way and help them identify the key elements deriving from seafarers' responses. So, apart from an in-depth understanding of the factors and forces producing the status quo, assessment conceptualization also includes another step. So this step reflects an implicit or explicit model of change. Here, the assessor and the company must come to grips with just how the factors and forces operating in a particular venue can be modified to bring about changes or desired outcomes. Training courses have been well recognized in industrial setting the last decades. That includes the training and development of seafarers in the areas of weakness that will show exactly how the investment in the assessments and associated improvements will provide a return. The last step is the follow-up test. So after training, it's important to reassess seafarers to see if their performance have been improved and if trainings are helpful. So retest procedure can also be seen as a reflective process of the course or the training, since it is one of the most efficient ways to cement the knowledge, to identify gaps in training, and to identify the barrier to a stronger transfer of learning. They can also be used to make recommendations for further development in areas of weakness. And in cases when it deems necessary, a candidate might be obliged by his company to retake the training or the course if the results of the test are not aligned with company's standards.
Stan is asking, why assess soft skills? Why assess soft skills and not personality traits? What is the difference between soft skills and personality traits? So, Evi.
Yeah. So Stan, thank you for your question. Basically, the answer is pretty straightforward. We focus on the point where changes can be made, and this is our skills and our behavior. So the main reason is because soft skills can be developed relatively easy, whereas personality traits cannot. So yeah, this is the main reason.
Thank you, Evi. I hope we answered your question.
You're welcome. Thank you. Yeah.
Do we have more questions? All right, we have one more question from Stan again. So Stan is asking us, what if a crew lies in their response? I guess he means what if they lie about their while doing the assessments? Yeah.
Thank you again for your questions then. Actually, this is a very interesting question. It's a great question. I'm going to answer it in relation to soft skills because a person obviously cannot fake or exaggerate on his cognitive abilities. So it's very important to understand that every non-cognitive assessment runs the risk of not being entirely truthful because of social desirability bias. So social desirability bias is the tendency of people to present themselves in a socially desirable way by giving overly positive self-descriptions in their responses. However, social desirability bias is when statistically controlled, validity can be restored. Thus, for example, for the assessment we shared before, we control social desirability bias by measuring it as a unique trait in the test. We have a box that becomes red in order to inform the assessor that results of the specific seafarer should be interpreted with caution, since he answered in a socially desirable way so as to be viewed favorably by others. So then it's up to the assessor to decide what to do with that information, but it's highly recommended to assess the seafarer further to cross-reference if he has indeed the claimed skills.
Thank you, Evi. I hope this answered
your
question. We have a comment, not a question, from Santos. Thank you, Santos. Santos saying psychometric test must be implemented in our maritime industry. It's a nice move by Safebridge. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sure. We have one more question from Victor. Victor is asking how the possibility of suicide by a seafarer might be assessed during the interview. Thank you, Victor, for the question. And I think that's a very important question, taking into consideration the current situation with the crew change crisis and all the challenges seafarers are facing on board. So, Evi, how can we answer this question?
So basically, suicide is is indeed a very hot topic in the maritime industry. So maybe if the interviewer has the necessary skills, or maybe some guidelines on whether to assess a seafarer for potentially maybe having a risk. So I think it's kind of difficult to assess any seafarer at the beginning during the interview. However, there are out there some assessments that assess basically the likelihood of someone to have suicidal thoughts.
I hope that you found the presentation useful, and I really hope that you will use some of our recommendations in your next crewing decision. And taking also this time here at Safebridge, we're all sending you warmest wishes for the upcoming holiday season. Stay positive, stay healthy, and we really hope to see you next year. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you, Evi, for the
Thank you for
presentation.
joining.